In an age where technology is evolving at a breakneck speed, organizations are faced with a decision. Do they stick with their legacy systems or do they modernize? The decision is very clear. They have to adapt to succeed in this new digital age. And you can say the same is also true for leaders. Today, I'll be diving into conversation with one such leader who has thrived on being adaptable. With me today on this latest episode of C-Suite Conversations is Soumitra Saha, who's the VP and MD India of Lumen India. Join me in conversation with him. Lumen Technologies connects the world by igniting business growth through seamless connections of people, data, and applications. Leveraging their robust network strength, Lumen provides metro connectivity, long-haul data transport, edge cloud services, security, and managed services to meet their customers' needs today and help them prepare for tomorrow. Lumen Technologies India, a global capability center, serves as a pivotal technology capability hub, housing a dynamic workforce of 3,000 professionals across Bangalore and Noida. Focused on the burgeoning digital demands of Lumen's global customers, this technology powerhouse delivers solutions for large enterprises, mid-sized enterprises, and mass markets. Their dedicated teams work tirelessly to ensure that they consistently exceed the evolving expectations of their clients, drive innovation, and position Lumen India as the technology epicenter for their overall business. Over the last 17 plus years of its existence in India, this GCC has evolved and matured significantly and is now poised to make a difference in the years to come. Marksman Daily presents C-Suite Conversations. Thank you for joining us in yet another episode of C-Suite Conversations. With me is Soumitra Saha, who's the VP and MD India of Lumen India. Mr. Saha, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you. It's my absolute pleasure.
So I was reading up a little bit about you before this interaction, and I see that you've managed across multiple geographies in a career spanning decades. If I had to ask you to distill your leadership philosophy down to a nutshell, how would you do so?
Well, okay, my personal leadership style, right?
Yeah.
Many people ask me this question. So there are essentially, I define my leadership style in 4 different corners, right? So the first one is, I'm a very situational leader.
Okay.
Like, I don't follow one leadership style. I kind of tune it and adjust it to the needs of the situation. The second one is, I've always been a rebellious guy. So I always challenge the status quo.
You realize that you're on a slightly authority figure right now.
So I have to challenge status quo because without challenging status quo, you cannot really progress a company, right? Otherwise, there'll be somebody out there in the industry waiting to have me for lunch. Yeah. So that's the second angle. The third really is putting on the enterprise hat. It's very important that a company has different divisions, different departments, and if each department is thinking on their own, there's somebody got to be there putting on the hat of the enterprise and thinking from a company standpoint.
Of course.
So these are, the 3 different angles in which I look at myself. But one of the most important things I want to call out is, as a leader, I need to make decisions every single day, right? And that's where the true leadership qualities step in and reflect. Yeah. And I believe many leaders say that data-driven decisions, I do it a little differently. Data-driven decisions sandwiched with emotional quotient, because at the end of the day, any step that I make or any decision that I take impacts a large segment of people. So humans are involved over there. So these are the 4 styles in which I, attribute myself to.
But let me ask you then, because I find that to be a little bit curious. You talk about being a little bit rebellious, a little bit anti-authoritarian. You talk about tapping into the power of people, going with your gut to a great degree. Yeah. Is that something that was perhaps historically difficult and maybe more assimilated or more perfect for today's day and age?
Well, you know what? I think it's an evolved leadership style. I don't think this is me today, but this was not me probably 10 years ago. Okay. And by virtue of having worked in different multinational companies, having worked in different innovation engines, I've realized that certain things need to be fine-tuned, and the fine-tuning has to be done in respect of the true spirit and soul of the company. So in today's world, when I am with Lumen India, there's a lot of transformation happening. And I feel that when it comes to transformation, you have to come and step in and challenge the status quo. And that's where, some of these things come into picture.
Super. So looking back, were there any mentors or any professional experiences that perhaps served to be a pivotal moment in your professional journey?
Yeah, I've had several mentors in my career, but since your question is about pivotal moment in my career, I will probably talk about one incident which kind of changed my entire perspective in the industry. Way back, this is about 10 years back in one of my previous companies. So I was heading up a research division, and my research team came up with something very innovative, very different for the hedge fund industry. And we were doing it from India. So what happens is when a remote center in India does something innovative, there are questions around it, and authenticity is questioned, etc. Because we're not closer to business. That's reality. But when we presented this back to the senior leadership in US, they didn't have the appetite to kind of take that forward, and a little bit heartbroken. But then 6 months' time, we found out that one of our key competitors launched the same product, and we missed out on the competitive edge in the marketplace. What I realized over there is not that we failed to launch a product on time, but what I realized is, as a leader, I failed to influence decision-making individuals in the organization. So the key message I took away from that incident was, if I have to lead an organization, I need to be able to influence and negotiate with people who are making decisions. So that has been something that I've been trying to hone my skills on over the last 10 years. Not that I've done something great, but I feel reasonably comfortable that with my current style, I'm able to negotiate with people, I'm able to influence the right decision making for the company.
So you talked about managing up a bit. Let's turn that lens a little bit towards managing slightly down the line, right? When it comes to attracting talent, developing them, retaining them, how do you then look towards that? What's your perspective on that? Because the fight for talent in today's day and age is really, really severe, almost attritional in many cases. Yeah. So then how do you balance that? How do you get that right?
Yeah, it is a very, very difficult thing to do. Honestly speaking, in today's scenario in India, if you look at it, there is a huge amount of talent, but at the same time, people choose companies in today's world. Companies don't choose people, right? So as much as people are selling their skills to companies need to sell their brand and their USP to prospect employees, right? So from that standpoint, I have been working with my leadership team here in Lumen India, and we have been trying to do a few things which I think are working well. So the first thing is, I think our appetite to have a highly flexible and hybrid workforce is definitely helping us.
Okay.
Post-COVID, when all companies are asking people to come back to the workplace, we are not doing that. We are encouraging work from home wherever possible, and our recommendation is you come into the office 4 days a month from to make sure you are connected with people, have that personal touch, etc. But we have left it to individual businesses to define how and when they want people to come into the office.
Because it's all about horses for courses.
Exactly. So I think that's one key differentiator for us in the marketplace. The second one is, you would hear this rampant in the industry, the pay divide between men and women. And I might stir up some big controversy over here, but it's reality. It's a huge divide in the industry. In the last 2 years, the team back here in India have consciously put in effort to bridge that gap. Today, we are flat. 2 years back, it was an 8% difference between the average salary of a man versus the woman in Lumen, India. Today, it's equalized. It's actually slightly higher on the women's side. But what I mean to say by that is, there is a conscious effort to bring equity in the workplace. It is not really about men or women, it's about equity in the workplace. It is skills for which, and your attitude for which you get paid.
It's a meritocracy,
right? The third thing that we are doing is, we are heavily investing in next-gen AI technologies, generative AI technology tools. Why are we doing this? So that we don't want engineers in the organization. We want smart engineers in the organization. And in today's world, I can assure you, if we are not aligning ourselves with AI, machine learning, and Gen AI techniques, we'll be left behind in the race. So these are three key things that I think we are doing, which is kind of differentiating us in the industry. But still, it is a very, very tough field to play in.
Let's talk a little bit about you, because today's World Yoga Day, incidentally.
Yeah.
So in some of my conversations with senior industry leaders, I've come to the realization that over the last few years, some are taking From annual, they're taking biannual or almost triannual retreats, for yoga or any kind of wellness, whether that's health, mental, physiology, cognitive, all of those pieces, holistic, so to speak.
Yeah.
How do you decompress? How do you strike that work-life balance?
I do it weekly. Okay, jokes apart. Honestly speaking, for me, I find it a struggle to maintain that work-life balance.
Okay.
And I'm guilty of it, and my wife will vouch for that. But what I do are small things which lights up my soul, which activates my spirit.
Okay.
What I do is, over the weekends, I take my family out for lunch or dinner, right?
Okay.
We have movie nights together, and movie nights go late into the night, real movie nights.
Okay.
I play the drums. I love playing the drums.
Oh, okay.
So my son and I we learned drums at the same time.
Okay.
Like when he was 7, and I won't reveal my age, but we did drum schooling together. So I love playing the drums. Whenever I get time over the weekends, I beat my stress out by playing the drums. And I do a lot of organic gardening. I think, doing that gardening gives me a fresh perspective of I'm creating something with my own hands, right? And the produce that comes when you use it for your family and for your neighbors, it gives you a great sense of gratification and satisfaction. So I do the small things to keep my, spirit alive.
Super. Before I let you go, I wanted to ask you if you had to offer a piece of advice to a budding professional at the beginning or maybe even the middle of their professional arc, what would that be?
I'll call out maybe 2 or 3 things, right? The number one, I think no matter which industry we're talking about, whether it is telco or technology or movie industry, whatever it is, right? It's important to understand the business, the bigger picture.
Okay.
People get stalled in their careers when they confine themselves to their boundaries. You have
Got
to
it.
come out of the shackles of your boundary and understand the bigger picture of the organization. That's when you really progress. If you understand the bigger picture, you can talk to business in business lingo. You can talk to C-suite executives in their lingo, and that's what paves the path for success. The second one is, and this is a quote from Winston Churchill, very inspiring quote for me. It goes like, if you start throwing stones at every barking dog, you will never reach your destination, right? So if you're a mid-level professional and you're on your career trajectory to grow, you will do good things to grow. And when you start doing good things, there are a lot of murmur that happens behind you, right? If you pay attention to those, it's like throwing stones at barking dogs, right? You will never be able to achieve your destination. So the message here is, when people talk about you, behind you, rest assured you're doing something good. Keep doing that good work, and there is no substitute for hard work.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Mr. Saha, thank you so much for being here with us on this episode. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thank you, same here. My pleasure.
It was John Wooden, one of basketball's most successful coaches, who once said that adaptability is the ability to adjust to any given situation at any given time. Whether you're talking about the court of play, the boardroom, or the corridors of an organization, being able to change is a vital skill to have, and it's one that Soumitra Saha has clearly embodied. Thank you for joining us on this episode of C-Suite Conversations, and we hope to see you next time.